Thanks, yeah. Oh, it's Colin here again. I'm sorting out problems of New Zealand, and but I've got a what shall I say? I need a breakthrough at the moment to sort things out for New Zealand. So I've been working on a few things about New Zealand, and I know I must have help, you see. Therefore, if I need help, I need New Zealand to help me, and then New Zealand has to then take it to the world. We can't have New Zealand with a sick country taking it to the world. Now, I want to carry on a little bit about the sex problems in New Zealand. You see, there's something wrong here. What I mean is this, I'll give you an example. There's a guy I know, I was talking to him, and he wanted to actually get himself in prison to attack some guy in prison on a sex issue. I don't know whether he meant physically attack him, I suppose. I can't exactly... I suppose that's what he meant, I suppose. And you see, there's something wrong. I heard of what they do in prison. It probably doesn't happen very often, if hardly at all, but they have a pointed stick and they poke it into the heart of an inmate to kill him over sex matters. And yeah, they don't do that for murderers. I don't know what this guy had in mind now, if I did know, but he definitely wanted to get into prison himself to get at this guy on sex. And they don't do that for murderers, they don't do that with horrible things that might happen, and a man could manslaughter, like I read recently of a man who was over the limit, and he went on the footpath or something and he killed, I think it was 3 people in New Zealand here. I think pregnant woman, that's 2 people, and somebody else, I think, and yet he wouldn't go into prison to attack him. There's some twisted shit on sex somehow. It's a psychology part of it. There's a problem. Probably they're frightened. They've got some sex problems themselves, and they attack another to cover up for their own sex problems. That seems to be it. And this is probably what the judges are doing on the bench, because and the people involved in giving people high sentencing on sex matters, it's a cover for their own sex problems, and they think they're doing well. There's some twisted shit there. But even psychologists, they seem to be duds too. They get a guy on sex matters, and they seem to want to think there's something wrong with them as well. You think that they'd be the first ones to realise that the poor cunt he just needs a girl. He just hears the call and he just obeys the call and that. And but on the other hand, if you went to see a psychologist yourself and then you pointed out, say, look, doctor, what's the problem with these bloody females and that? Excuse me. Females could fuck guys all day and every day. Bit of a froggy or something. Yeah, I get busking. I'm in a draft all the time. I do busking to support at work overseas, and so I get in the draft and all the time and standing in the draft. So anyway, so you talk to the psychologist and you said, oh, why is this woman fucking men? It could fuck men to heart's content, and hardly one cunt will complain and so on, and just what's the problem? And then, see, he might reverse now, and seeing you've asked him on the positive side, he might reverse the situation and give the proper psychology side. But when the police go to him, he'll go the other way and try and make out this guy. That's to make out goes through sessions about this fucking woman. It's just as stupid as somebody hadn't eaten for 3 days and he was hungry for food and thought there was something wrong with him. They had to re-educate him, yeah. re-educate them, sort of thing. And this they seem to do with sex matters. The poor cunt just hears the call and obeys the call. As simple as that. And so, because it's not the man in the street that does these things, it's the officials that send them to prison. And they seem to harp on sex all the time. There seems to be something wrong there with sex, the way they do these high sentencing. Like, as I mentioned in my last video, guy gets 7 years for kissing woman in Cuba Mall. And yet if you cut a woman's arm off, literally, you go about the same, I suppose. You probably get about 7 years for that, maybe 5 years, then you get less. But I don't think you get. You could get 9, because it depends on the what shall I say, on the it depends on the is it the judge that depends on it might depend on the judge. Oh no, it depends. That's right, on the maximum penalty you can give. Yeah, certain things have certain maximum penalties, so the judge can't go beyond that. But there's something wrong here somewhere, and the author of all romance, the Holy Spirit, wants to solve this problem. It's one of the problems he wants to solve. There's something wrong. Now, there is one good thing, as I said, about New Zealand, is although they're duds when it comes to material things, they put it above their health, nothing is spending thousands of dollars on getting another car which they don't particularly need, and overseas travel and that, think nothing of it. And when it comes to material, to their health, it's different. Start complaining about the cost of something and think nothing about something else. This is probably what Australia, where they got burnt, and some people in Australia got incinerated in their cars. What happened is this big bushfires, as you know, in Australia. And what happened was they're trying to get away from their houses, but they couldn't beat the bushfire, and so they were incinerated to death in their cars. They're in one of these bushfires that come in Australia. Now, probably one of the reasons is material things again. They said to the husband, or their partner, we must get this. This was given to us by such and such, and we must get this and must get that. And the time elapsed, so there might have been half an hour, trying to get these things, loading up the car, and the husband was saying, hurry up, come on. Now, it's different for the cat, say if they're trying to find the cat and they took too long finding the cat. Because cats, of course, as you know, get frightened, and eventually they couldn't get the cat, so they just said, goodbye, Woody, goodbye, whatever his name was, or her name. And it depends on which direction the fire was coming. If it's coming towards you, so even if you go 60 miles an hour or even 100 miles an hour to get away from as fast as your car will go, because those streets will probably be straight. If a bushfire area, there's probably not so condensed amount of housing, so the streets probably won't be too roundy, won't be turning corners so much, I should imagine. But if the fires are behind you, then if you had a half an hour to escape, you could just grab something grab your money, if you had money or your cell phone or something, just grab it and shoot in the car and off. Just don't worry. But when you're going to think, we must save this, I know the couple that gave us this for our wedding present, and then we must save this, and you say too long, and then if you had managed to get out in time, if you just grab something off, and so material things, you see, is what might have caused some of those people in Australia to be incinerated in their cars. The bushfire caught up with them, and as it was coming the other way, like crossways, then they could be caught anyway. But if it was coming behind them, then they could get away. They'd be half an hour in advance, going, say, 70, 80 miles an hour, even 100 miles an hour if they could get their car doing that, and they might just escape the bushfire instead of an incinerated death in their cars. That's what happened in Australia. So the material things, and the same with New Zealand, the material things. But there's one thing, as I say, about New Zealanders, my fellow New Zealander, is he can very well, he can, what shall I say, he can reason. He can reason very well. When you say things like, a guy gets an arm off, chops an arm off, gets 7 years, and a guy does three women kissing a woman in the Cuban Wall, which a guy did do, and they give him 7 years. Now, and so the average New Zealander is very good at reasoning. He can see the reasoning of that quite well. But so why these judges do something, especially on sex matters, they seem to bump up they seem to think that it's something from Arthur C. Clarke or something, when all it is just he heard the call and obeyed the call. I mean, as I've said, I get guys kiss me in the street, but because as I say, I do busking to support our work in Africa, usually in the evenings in Courtenay Place, and guys sometimes come up and kiss me, and I don't like it, but I'm not going to bloody well hardly complain about it, let alone get 7 years for it. Or they didn't give him 7 years straight away. He passed the third strike. Well, the third strike's all right for criminal offence, but not for just bloody kissing. Girl, I mean, fuck me dead. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. There's some psychology wrong with these judges on the bench. They're covering up, just like this guy. As I said, he wanted to get into prison on purpose. He wanted to get this guy on sex matters. And why do they walk around sometimes in the past, or I don't know how if they do it now, with a sharp stick, poke it into the heart of a guy, to kill a guy, murder a guy, only because of sex matters. And yet they won't do it for murderers or manslaughters, like that man went on the road, on the footpath, 3 times over the limit, killed 2 people, pregnant woman, that's 2 people, and one other one I think he killed, and just up for manslaughter, and not a problem. Well, he's up for manslaughter and get a few years, and the kissing guy might get more. There's another thing, you see. Guy kisses a few women, is maybe the 7 years. What a guy would get on going on the footpath with a car, and footpath going killing these people over the limit, and might get the same. There's something wrong, and so the Holy Spirit, the author of all romance, he wants to sort all this problem out for New Zealand, but he needs our help. You see, he has no legs but our legs, and no feet but our feet, or no feet but our feet, and no arms but our arms, sort of thing. He needs us to cooperate. He's ready to do things, but we've got to move with him. We've got to move with him to get things done. The reason why things have been done, in the past is because men and women have cooperated with him, and with God in that to get things done. So remarkable things have happened in the past, and even for New Zealand. And like as I mentioned before in my videos, how New Zealand was saved from being bombed by the Japanese, who had four aircraft carriers. Now, so that's one thing I want to get across this morning in this video, this afternoon. The imbalance here with sex problems, but it's amazing to think that it's a natural thing in the first place, and I always put myself into a psychiatric hospital over sex matters, and I ended up in maximum security prison in what should I say, at Lake Alice. There's a top security prison there for the most dangerous people in the world. What actually happened was a chair fell over. Actually, I was going to put this mattress on the floor. My bed was squeaking because I had some reason it was squeaking, and so I thought I'd put the mattress on the floor. Something I did and a chair got knocked over. I'd put this chair by the bed, and I'd forgotten it was there. I don't know why I put the chair by the bed, but yeah, I'd forgotten about it, and it made a noise. And the guy next door to me, he what shall I say? Yes, right. He reported it to the night staff, and the next day the psychiatrist had a go at me about it, and of course violence in a psychiatric hospital is very, very it's treated very, very seriously. They have you put away in a maximum security prison. So I told him about the chair incident. It got knocked over, but he didn't take any notice. He's a funny psychiatrist, that one actually. He asked a question once. He said, "What is the job of a carburetor of a car?" And about 7 years later, I saw him again, and he asked me the same question. So therefore, that must be a favourite question of his as a psychiatrist. But the thing is the job of a carburetor of a car is a general knowledge question. It's not a question for a psychiatrist to ask somebody. And the fact that I didn't know, I don't drive cars. But I was mowing lawns, and there was a carburetor filtered the petrol, is it, or something, and I didn't really know. I still don't know actually what the job of a carburetor of a car is. Not really, but you see, I mean, that doesn't constitute the fact that I need to be put away. It's a general knowledge question, you know. So, and he looked at me, he gave me a funny look, and because I didn't know. Well, obviously, that's why he was a funny psychiatrist. He was definitely a funny psychiatrist, and so he conned Wellington on the phone. I heard him actually talking. I was walking outside, and I heard my name or something mentioned, so I listened, and he was conning Wellington to get me into maximum security prison at Lake Alice Hospital. So I went there, and the wardens there, they took one look at me. I was a younger man then, and it was about 41 years ago or so. And they took one look at me, and I thought there was some mistake. And during the next 6 weeks, it was confirmed. We used to come, for example, naked we used to come naked from our cells to have a shower every morning. And what I used to do to them when I passed them, they were watching us, and I used to say morning. I didn't say good morning. I just said morning, and they never replied. But that was a piece in my favour. I think it was that kind of thing that was confirmed my being there. So they had me face the next board, which was just 6 weeks later. There's normally, when you end up in Lake Alice, you're there from 18 months to 2 years. You don't face the first board or the second board. I think they meet every 6 months. You might face the third board maybe, and you're there from a minimum of 18 months to 2 years. But I was just in there about 6 weeks or so, and because they saw me, you see, that it was confirmed what they noticed when I first arrived. They thought, hello, what's some mistake here? They took one look at me. It was this funny psychiatrist. But anyway, that was that part of it. Then I had a lot of problems. Oh, I was put there for kissing a nurse. Yeah, that's right. There's kissing a bloody game here, and it's put down to an assault charge. And I think my mistake was, I was from Warrawa in Hawke's Bay, and little town, if you don't know, a little town about halfway between Napier and Gisborne, right by the sea, called Warrawa. And there's a hospital up on the hill, and I went up there chasing this woman, actually, who I'd kissed. She got off balance. She came to Bath, Dad. And I think it was the fact that I went chasing up after her. I think that was the problem. Might have caused embarrassment or something. And I left a note with me to the kitchen staff, and it ended up with the police. And I think another thing it might have been too is I wrote to a woman in Warrawa asking for sex, for fuck, and she didn't really know me properly, and that maybe had something to do with it too. Sex matters, you see. It's a wonder they don't give the electric chair or something for sex matters. But anyway, the Holy Spirit wants to solve all this problem with sex. He doesn't want all this bloody shit in New Zealand. He wants people to be happy with their sex life. What I can see the Holy Spirit seems to want in New Zealand, he wants us to be able to walk naked in the streets, have free sex in the street. Gonorrhea and syphilis, they fall to orthomolecular medicine. From orthomolecular medicine, physicians from the United States, they fall just as easy as any other virus or infection. This is why I'm trying to get this bloody virus, this COVID-19, wiped out. But see, they're doing bullshit at the moment. They're sending all these gowns and bloody masks to India. It's in a bad way. India now, they're losing about 3,000 people a day dead or something, and at the moment, and it's not the answer. The answer is orthomolecular medicine to heal them of the disease, not go and sending bloody gloves and bloody shit. You need to heal them, but you can't get help because they don't know you. And they don't want to know you, sort of thing. And you're not some great one. You're not some person in prominent position to be able to do anything. If you're in a prominent position, well, say take the Duke of Edinburgh, for example. If he was just your next door neighbour, same guy, same ideas, but never been, say, in royalty, and I suppose he married the Queen, I suppose, that must have made him popular. I'm not quite sure how he came on the scene, Duke of Edinburgh, but that was his wife, was it, the Queen? So he must have got married, but whether he was in politics himself, and whether he was in that line, I don't know what happened, but how he got. But if he's a Duke of Edinburgh, then he's listened to, and that they know him and all this, and so on, and that's fine. But if he's just your next door neighbour, same guy, he's just he wouldn't listen to him sometimes, the things he said, which he would listen to him if he was the Duke of Edinburgh. You listen to him, but they're just ordinary people. The situation could have been the reverse. Your next door neighbour could have been the Prime Minister of the UK or New Zealand, and the reverse, Winston Churchill could have been your next door neighbour, and they wouldn't listen to him. He still had the cigar, just the same guy with the cigar, but he's just a man in the street like anybody else, and you got to be somebody, you see, and this is when you're nobody. So I've either got to be somebody to get them to listen to me. Prime Minister of New Zealand would be ideal, but the trouble is, how am I going to get to be Prime Minister? So, but better, I don't want to really be anything like that. I just want to help people. That's my life, and that's why I do busking, is to get money for overseas. Works so much. People are dying overseas and that. Well, anyway, that's me, and so this video is coming to an end. Keep it to half an hour. So we'll close in a minute, and we'll keep in touch with me. Someone said to see somebody else at the moment. He said to see Andrew Little. Yeah, I've seen. I wrote to Chris. Chris, what's his second name now? I never got a reply from him on orthomolecular medicine. Chris Hipkins, yeah, Chris Hipkins, no reply. Someone said, no, don't worry about him, sort of thing. He's useless. Somebody was saying to me from Parliament too, though, from Parliament. But write to Chris Bishop. So I've written to Chris Bishop, still no email back, because I wanted to make an appointment, you see, with Chris Bishop. And but the Honourable Grant Robinson's quite good. I saw him, but now he's doing the budget, and he won't have any interviews at the moment because he's doing the budget, and it'll be 6 weeks after the budget too. He won't be able to do anything until after 6 weeks after the budget. So he's out, but somebody gave me Andrew Little last night, so I might write for Andrew Little as well. And so I've got to keep trying, you see, and keep moving. Don't just sit back and expect a knock on my door or a phone call. I've got to step out and perhaps say, Holy Spirit, you take this letter. Is this the man that you can get a breakthrough on? And then we can wipe out this virus from New Zealand, and and then New Zealand can save the world. I know it's a big undertaking for a little wee country to save the world, but that's the way, because the Holy Spirit's working through me on this issue of healing the rift between the Christians and the world. Okay, then, that means New Zealand's got to help me, and that means New Zealand's involved. And so it's dragging New Zealand into it. And and then once we get right, then New Zealand can save the world. I know it's a big undertaking for a poor little country like New Zealand to be expected to save the world, but He will help us. The Holy Spirit will help us. He will. He knows the beginning from the end, sort of thing, and the end from the beginning, sort of thing. So I'll let this go now. This video, I'll keep it to half an hour, because my friend who's helping me with this videos, he couldn't find a 1 hour one, and he thought we'd better keep it down to half an hour. Then we can put 2 half-hour ones on. But I've already got a half an hour one on this morning. What are we now? The end of April, or the 1st of May, is it? Friday. Is that the last day of April, perhaps? Anyway, it doesn't matter. 21. So I will sign off now. It's about half an hour. And we'll keep in touch. So I'm going to contact Andrew Little. Is that the man? Yeah, Andrew Little. And get back again to Chris Bishop. Because it might have asked him to listen to my videos. So it might have backfired on me, because in spending time having a look at 1 or 2 videos, he sort of got lost. He got lost, and it took too long, sort of thing. He's drifted away, drifted back to what he's doing. So that could be a problem, or it could be a problem of my handwriting. So next time I might print it. But I just got to keep trying and get a breakthrough. And then I've already seen, as I say, Grant Robinson. He's helpful, because he says to you, he puts it to his literature, to householders. He says, if you got a problem, sort of thing, come and see me. So he's open. That's where I managed to see him. But now, as I say, he's got the budget on. He's not seeing anybody now, and not until at least 6 weeks after the budget too. So hopefully in the meantime I can see Andrew Little. But sometimes these things take time. A couple was moved to go to Mozambique. It was about 25 years, I think, before they even got to Mozambique, and there's great work done. This woman, Heidi Baker, she's got a ministry of bringing people's sight back. She explains it in one of her books. I think this is where I got it from. Great books by Heidi Baker. So anyway, what you could do then too is you could look up in the smartphone any books by Heidi Baker, and that's Minda's books in her book, and particularly Yonggi Cho from Seoul. If you can look up smartphone and find any books by Yonggi Cho, a great reading, Yonggi Cho. And so if you can, online money, and that's all done by buttons these days. Somebody just got something from me from the States by just pressing buttons. Everything was pressing buttons. Press buttons to online money. They press buttons back, and it was all done just by pressing buttons. Great technology. Well, it's been a half an hour, so I'll close on this now, and I will catch up with you on another video. And so in the meantime, I'll put a little bit on the Instagram to as a headline, and I'll probably put another one on next week. It's Friday today, about the end of April 21, and I'll probably next week I'll put another one on. So I'll close off now. So this is Colin then signing off for now. Bye.